Good morning. Yeah, it was my intent setting my inner alarm clock to get up after midnight and post post the video for today, the 9th of April, which is my conversation with Karen Colland up on Facebook, and then to go back to bed and continue sleeping. However, even before I got out of bed, and then again once I returned back to bed, my mind was moving with the message. So I had to get back up about 15 to 20 minutes ago and quickly write the blurb and prepare to do the message for the 10th of April. And the title of that message is Collateral Accounts Belong to All People. Those of us involved in Swiss Indo understand the great responsibility on the shoulders of Mr. Sugih as trustee of the collateral accounts entrusted to him by God. We also understand the huge temptation that exists to subvert those funds into the hands of private individuals, naming them as beneficiaries of the trust, when the only true beneficiaries under God are all people equally. We also understand the desire to distribute the funds through existing governments and current world structures so as to make the transition from the old paradigm to the new as smooth and peaceful as possible. However, until those within those structures are purged of greed and lust for power, vigilance must be carefully exercised to prevent charlatans from subverting the plan to equally bless all people on earth by transferring authority and beneficiary status to anyone named individually in any legal documents related to the release and distribution of funding. Indeed, the weight on the shoulders of Mr. Sugih, and I've heard from Karen and others within the delegation that is a tremendous weight of responsibility, and that Mr. Sugih is well aware of his mission given to him by God, by Creator, to turn the world around, to change the paradigm from one of competition, one of greed and lust for power, and the perceived notion of any individual having authority over any other individual, thus subverting universal law, which says do no harm, do not violate the free will of another. I'm just going to leave it at those two for right now. Well, no, I'm going to throw in the cause no loss as well, because naming anyone as beneficiary of these immense accounts, these vast sums of wealth, which the wealth belongs to the people, to name anyone in a document as a beneficiary, anyone, it doesn't matter who they are, is a breach of trust and a violation of divine intent, as I see it. And all I can ever give anyone is as I see it, because I signed an oath and bond to be a protector of the people. And to protect the people, I must protect the rights of the people. And one of the rights of the people is to be blessed by God, to be able to prosper and be in health, to be able to have all needs met and all dreams fulfilled, when those dreams are honest dreams and benevolent in nature. And benevolence is the category that determines whether someone is operating in self-interest or in the interest of all and for the highest good of all. Now, I know that there are people within the delegation that still, including myself, that still have a lot of inner work to be done, because the temptation to fall into the programming of the old matrix system of power and control, or I should say, of domination and control. That is very strong. We want to protect our individual interests. That simply cannot be done. Now, I shared a video that my friend Margie introduced me to called The Compassionate Company, Pavi Metta, and it's posted on my Facebook. Well, I probably should put the link to that, provide it somewhere on YouTube when I do this video, when I put this video up on YouTube, so that the YouTube people can watch this video. I said it plainly when I posted it. It should be required viewing. This is how we change the world. There's no other way. That's how I posted that video in the evening last night. 5 hours ago, it says. It's probably 6 now because I haven't refreshed for a bit. But in any case, it talks about how one of the most profitable companies on the planet was established to benefit all of the people, because this man from India had the right idea in mind, that he was entrusted by God to help people see. He has eye clinics throughout India and treats more people than any other clinic, and he doesn't, it's non-competition. He doesn't see himself as over anyone, but as the servant of all. And every true minister serving in Swiss Indo or serving in any government agency or agency thereof, every one of those ministers has a responsibility, but we've had our eyes have been blinded and we don't see clearly. We see through lack, and we see through the need to compete that has been falsely instilled on humanity, rather than the necessity, not just a need, but the necessity of cooperation and of seeing each individual self, each individual expression of divinity as an interconnected part of a whole, not separate, but always in service to the rest, to the others, not just to the self, not just to the individual. This is an extremely important thing for each of us to grasp, that wealth is not an individual thing. It's not something to be held for personal gratification or personal reasons. It is something that is entrusted to the whole of creation. And those that take positions of responsibility must be ever vigilant and always careful to avoid falling into the trap of separation consciousness thinking, of thinking I've got to get what's mine, of thinking I've got to protect what's mine, rather than sharing what has been given to each of us as a gift. And everything that we've received is a gift. It's an offer by Creator to creation to utilize the powers that are inherent in each individual for the benefit of all, to use those abilities and talents and responsibilities and accountabilities to benefit the whole. Because anything less than that is a violation of natural law. There are those within the delegation that have tried to insert elements of canon law, which is the old system, folks. It's the old domination system. And to insert those principles into into Swiss Indo and into the distribution of those funds. And it's critically important that every minister, every delegate, be aware of this tendency and stand on guard, not only to protect your own status, your own consciousness, but to be aware that the consciousness of our brothers and sisters may not always yet be refined and purged of some of these old paradigm trappings of fear-based control attempts. And I speak of something that I've been made aware of. And being made aware of it means that I'm responsible for that to which I have been made aware. And I'm accountable to speak out and tell the truth as I see it. And the truth as I see it is that we stand at the threshold right now of the release of the most tremendous wealth that's ever been manifested on planet Earth, at least in the current 13 or 26,000 year cycle. Tremendous, tremendous wealth is at stake here. And how we handle it, how Mr. Sugih handles the responsibility, holds up under the responsibility placed upon him by God and placed upon each of us by God. How we handle this will determine how well we establish a kingdom of heaven on earth that works for everybody. Because everyone is a beneficiary, not one individual and not others. Everyone is a beneficiary of that which has been entrusted to each of us and to all of us by God. It's an awesome task because we've blown it so many times. We've gotten it wrong so many times in the past by allowing individuals to be in control of the wealth, which is why we don't trust monarchs. We don't trust rulers. We don't trust those who claim to have the divine right of kings and of power over others. We don't trust them because they have not proven trustworthy. And Mr. Sugih has the opportunity to be the exception of a beneficent and a beneficial holder of that responsibility entrusted to him, which has been entrusted to every ruler and monarch and every other one pretty much throughout history. I'm sure there's exceptions, but most everyone failed, and all of them failed in bringing the abundance into manifestation so that each man and woman and child on the planet would benefit by being given all that they need and provided with everything that they need just to exist without cost, freely. That's what the Compassionate Company video was all about. Everybody has the right to see clearly. Everybody has the right to receive proper education, and proper education that differentiates and creates hierarchies of authority. All of those are false and fraudulent. All of them are fictional. That's the world that we've known. That's the matrix that we've grown up in. That old paradigm thinking. We need the new paradigm thinking to turn everything around. And it does take, as Karen said, each of us takes to take the responsibility to awaken and use whatever we're given to bring ourselves back to wholeness and to a thinking that is compassionate, is loving, is kind, is gentle, and yet at the same time steadfast and firm in its commitment to make sure that we don't fall back into the trap of self-aggrandizement, the trap of wanting to have power over other people. That is twisted. That is a malady that we must overcome, and we must overcome it together as human beings. And I call upon each of you to do your part, to play your role in being vigilant that you yourself have pure heart and clean hands and an intent only to make sure that your life is a witness and a light in a world of darkness, to make sure that you shoulder your own responsibility for your life, to live in accordance with divine law, doing no harm to anyone, causing no one loss, and not treating anyone as you would not yourself want to be treated, never violating another's will, but always recognizing that your free will always ends where the next person's free will begins. This is what we're trying to introduce to the world, and asking for people to join with us to help us create this world that moves beyond the traps and the programming of the old matrix, the old world order, which is on steroids right now, trying to maintain its status quo. But the status quo has to go. The status quo has to be dealt a death blow so that humanity can finally, at long last, be free and live and enjoy all the fruits of creation, each according to his or her own vision and own dream. But the vision and dream must be one of cooperation, and the beneficiaries of our dream is all of us. We together are the beneficiaries of the trust of Creator placed in creation. Thank you for listening and for taking to heart what I've shared with you today. Thank you and namaste.